Mother, son, as important as the killing of white men. White mother, sons. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Not needing to clutch for power, not needing the light just to shine on me. I need to be just one in the number as we stand against tyranny. To me, young people come first. They come first. They have the courage where we fail. If I can just shine a light on as they carry us through the gale. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. I'm a woman who speaks in a voice, and I must be heard. At times I can be quite difficult. I'll bow to no man's word. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Come on, say, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We cannot rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We cannot rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We cannot rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We cannot rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We will not rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We will not rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We will not rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We will not rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until. Come on and sing now. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it.
Greetings, everyone. As we continue to work through any admin challenges that we are having at this moment, just inviting you to say, hey, share where you're healing from so that we can continue this journey. Welcome. I love the song. It's called Ella's Song by Sweet Honey in the Rock. If you know it, just put a yes in the chat. I've been hearing the song for years and years. Love what it stands for. Thank you, Amina and Sherry. Altrina, thank you so much for dropping it in the chat. And for the admin, if we're ready to carry on, let us know. Thank you, Robin, for sharing that you're from Fort Worth, Texas. Keep that in mind, by way of Milwaukee. Yes. Love it. If you are familiar with Sweet Honey and the Rock, drop that in the chat. One of my favorite groups of all times. I view the human voice as the first instrument and most powerful. Yes, thank you. Yes. Yes. Thank y'all. Sweet Honey and the Rock. Oldies but goodies. That's right, Gigi. All right, family. So, Abin, are we ready to carry on? Samantha, Chantel? Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Before we get started, I'd just like to share some details about Zoom support in case anybody has any technical issues. If you experience any technical issues during this call tonight, please reach out to Lindsay or Maya in the chat or anybody else with the title admin before their name. Please try and have the link to this Zoom meeting available.
Get in the meet.
And if you do get kicked off for any reason, you'll have that link and you can jump right back in. And if we have any technical issues, we will also rejoin as quickly as we can. The chat feature will be an active part of this meeting. We just ask that everybody please be appropriate and we reserve this space for questions and to move the conversation forward. And we'll have people from our admin team who will be reading out any questions in the chat. For visual and audio settings, you can see in the graphic here what the unmute and video buttons look like at the bottom of your screen. You will enter the meeting as muted and please stay muted until you've been asked to unmute yourself, which will happen a few times throughout the evening. For controlling your video, at the far left side of the Zoom toolbar at the bottom of your screen, you can see the video icon where you can turn your video on or off. If you need help finding these, you just move your cursor to the bottom of your window and they should be on the left. And here are some details about setting your video, whether you're joining us on a computer, on your phone, or on a tablet. In order to adjust the views of the speakers and the attendants, you can click if you're on a laptop or a computer, click in the Zoom window to reveal speaker view or gallery view in the upper right-hand corner, and you can toggle between these views. If you're on a phone, you can swipe your screen left or right to view the presentation or the participants. And on a tablet, you would tap your screen to reveal the speaker view and gallery view options in the upper left corner, and you can tap the icon to switch between the views. Once again, if you're having any technical issues, please feel free to reach out to anybody with admin in their name in the chat, especially Lindsay or Maya. And I believe I am complete.
All right, family, welcome, welcome, welcome to day 2 of the National Postpartum Awareness Week for Black, Indigenous people of color. This is Shawnee Renee Trellis Benton Gibson, and I have the absolute pleasure of emceeing a portion of tonight's session. It's been a phenomenal, phenomenal experience of being with all of you over the last couple of days, and I love that we are here again. I know that more folks will be joining us and inviting all of you to warm up the seats and the energy and the vibration of this space so that when they land, they feel the power and the cocooning energy of community. So what we want to share tonight is the birth story of the National Postpartum Awareness Week, that it didn't just start on its own, that it has parents, co-mothers or co-madres that have co-created this sacred space. So back in 2020, myself, along with 2 other women, Maddie Oden and Wanda Irving, we met by invitation of Wanda to participate with the National Grandparents Day. And Wanda had an idea to bring together grandparents who experienced the loss of their daughters, grandmothers, who experienced the loss of their daughters due to maternal mortality. So the 3 of us had that experience, mine more recently than Wanda's, and Wanda's more recently than Maddie's. We're all from 3 different cities in the United States. Wanda is from Atlanta, Georgia, or by way of New York, and I'm here in New York City in Queens, and I've spent 50 of my 55 years as a Queensite, so I'm a queen from Queens. And Maddie is from Oakland, California. And we brought the 3 cities together and the nation together by way of us deciding that we wanted to co-create a series for Black Maternal Health Week, a virtual series, so that we could be in our cities and invite people from around the nation. And so the first Speak, Move, Change, which is our collective name, was offered or introduced to the community in 2021. And as a result of us joining together for that 7-day series, we did something every single day on Zoom for the entire Black Maternal Health Week. As a result of one of the nights where we had a conversation with midwives and doulas, the community called for a focus on on postpartum, and we decided that we would co-create the National Postpartum Awareness Week. And then here we are right now. We worked on it for a year and a half. We launched it for the first time in 2023, and we decided or chose to have it be the week leading up to Mother's Day. So that is why we are here, building that energy up until next Sunday. And this is our second iteration. We are so grateful to be with all of you to do this at this point in time in 2024. We are grateful for you pouring energy and light in. We're grateful for the collective that represents over 40 states across the nation and I think about 8 countries by now, maybe more. The admin team will let me know, but we're definitely expanding, and you are a byproduct of that expansion. So tonight we will carry on and we will continue to build the foundation of understanding of what this work is and what we're called to do inside of it. So let's proceed.
We gather to raise awareness, centering Black, Brown, and Indigenous people.
We are shining a light on the postpartum period.
The time from the end of pregnancy due to a live birth, stillbirth, miscarriage, or abortion until 1 year from the end of pregnancy.
A time when insurance may no longer be available.
Women and birthing people may develop depression or other mental health concerns, a new diagnosis, or a worsening of chronic illnesses.
Over half of pregnancy-related deaths occur after the mother or birthing person has gone home after childbirth.
And at least 80% of these deaths are preventable.
We acknowledge the harsh reality of racial inequities in prenatal outcomes
and the impact of structural and institutional racism
and gender oppression in the context of maternal health.
We are hearing from experts, advocates, and birthing people who can shed light on the unique challenges faced by marginalized groups in the perinatal period and what we can do about it as individuals and together.
All right, family. So once again, we're building foundation powerfully together. And part of that foundation building is to share what the intentions are about for the National Postpartum Awareness Week, so that we can all be clear and understand once again and understand what has us be here today and what may prompt us to continue to support and co-create in this way. So I would love for 5 souls in this space, 5 awesome beings in this space, to raise your digital hand so that you can help us hear and see what the National Postpartum Awareness Week is about. So I see Zakia's hand. Thank you for your quick acting, Zakia. Anyone else? We need 4 more. I see Sherry. Thank you for volunteering again. We appreciate you. Who else? 3 more, family. All right, Gigi, thank you for volunteering again. Who else? 2 more, family. And I'm great at waiting. Anna, thank you. 1 more. Denise, thank you. All right, and I see one of the hands went down, but I won't assume that that means that you're not going to read for us. So let's start with Z.
Greetings, family. The National Postpartum Awareness Week is a commitment to engage in collective action to ensure safe pregnancy and postpartum outcomes for Black, brown, and indigenous women and birthing people, straight and LGBTQ plus, locally, nationally, and internationally.
Thank you. And who is up next is Sherry and then Gigi.
Good evening, everyone. The Postpartum Awareness Week collective members represent over 40 states from across the country who are committed to amplifying the needs and the voices of BIPOC during the fourth trimester so that birthing while Black and brown in the US will no longer be a death sentence.
Beautiful. Let's go to the second slide. And who is up next is Anna.
Through the power of collective action, this campaign raises awareness about the inequitable and unacceptable impact of systemic and institutional racism experienced by BIPOC during their pregnancy, birthing, and postpartum journeys.
Thank you. And is Gigi, you still prepared to share?
Yes, I am.
Beautiful.
The Araya Foundation, Dr. Shalon's MAP, and the Tatia Odin French Foundation, in partnership with stakeholders across the United States, co-created a vision to restore life and dignity to the birthing and postpartum experiences of BIPOC birthing people.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Coach Denise. Unmute yourself. Mhm.
We are guided. Is that where we are?
Yes.
We are guided and activated by the reproductive justice framework created by 12 Black women in 1994. That has grown into a movement promoting the human right of all people to have a child, to not have a child, to raise the child or children they have in a safe and healthy environment, and to bodily autonomy.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to mix it up a little bit because some of you have been here with us for both days. This is your third night in the space. Some of you were with us last night, so this is your second night in the space. But my attention is focused on the folks who this is your first night in this space for the National Postpartum Awareness Week for Black, Indigenous People of Color 2024. So for everyone, when you think about the 12 women that came together to create the reproductive justice framework, what points of gratitude do you have for them? Let's hear from a few of you. I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. What we named in the space, and I'll say it explicitly, is that it's been 30 years since they did this, and they're going to be celebrating. I just found out that there's a celebration in June. I'm really, really excited about that. 10 of the 12 women will be at the celebration, but all of the women are still with us. And those women, 2 of them are not able to travel to the celebration in June. But the bottom line is that their energy and light is in it. What I also learned today from Mama Lynn Roberts is that there were folks doing the work without calling it reproductive justice at that time, but they were in the work already. And so it was brewing in the atmosphere and in the ecosystem before these 12 women came together and added skin and bones and blood and DNA and ancestral energy to it, like their own, like their extended family members that were on the other side and present. So what comes up for you? What's present? What's possible? Because these 12 women amplified the power of 3. And we're saying that we've been talking about that over the last 3 days, that 1 + 2 = 3, and that 30 years is 3 + 0, and that equals 3. So many powerful, powerful energies surrounding this 30-year experience. Plus, right, we heard that it was already brewing before that. So if admin can read the chat, so that we can see what folks have said, and then we can hear some voices, because voices bring energy into the space, right? We thank Sweet Honey and the Rock for being the amplifier of our powerful voices. So what's in the chat, admin? Anything that we want to amplify?
No comments yet.
Okay, I saw some coming in. I guess folks are saying different things. Raise your digital hand if you want to share about what has been made possible as a result of these women choosing courageously and generously and what do you call it, sacrificially to do this sacred work? Please raise your digital hand. The name of the song is Ella's Song by Sweet Honey and the Rock. The ability to have choices. Yes, yes, yes. Anyone else? And I'm good at volunteering people. I'm known for that. I see something else in the chat. Can you assist, Sam, please?
A path to liberation.
Thank you.
Modeling advocacy.
Ashe, thank you.
I see
Author
the
of
ability to have
dream. Oh, go ahead,
Thank
Maya.
you.
the ability to have choices.
Yes, we're amplifying that. Yes, and what else?
Self-awareness.
Yes,
Birthrights.
yes. What else, family?
Bringing back the ancestral wisdom that was lost for so long.
Come on, talk about it. Yenny, unmute yourself. You know, you're my chosen sister. So say more about that if you would, beloved.
Hi, sister. This is
Hi.
Yenny coming from Texas. So I would say that in all of the barriers that were faced, especially with the eradication of granny midwives and things, we really lost that ancestral wisdom from connecting with our bodies, connecting our womb to our wombs. We lost so much even in the family unit. So when we think about reproductive justice, I can only think about not just a path to liberation and true freedom, but also understanding that we're taking back the things that were lost in that, and also, you know, like going from generation to generation, the wisdom that was lost because so many people were silenced.
Ashe, thank you so much for that, Sister Yenny. And I see that there's some other drop-ins. So Maya or Sam, whomever chooses, if you can read that.
The door has been opened. Power of community birth versus commodification of birth.
Ashe. Thank
Because
you.
my granny ma made sure we all knew what herbs and tonic to have on hand if we don't want to expand our family.
Thank you. Thank you. And drop your Granny Ma's name into the chat, please. And Teresa says, what? Z wrote? I can't see it fully, so y'all help me out.
Sankofa at its fullest.
Ashe. And Sankofa, for the community members who do not know what that is, can someone identify it? I know what it is, but I'm asking other voices to co-create with me.
Greetings, everyone. Sankofa is a proverbial term from the Akan people of West Africa, and
Ashe.
it speaks of going back to fetch it. If
Yes.
you have messed up and you need to go back and apologize, you can do that. But you can also go back and learn from your ancestors what is needed for today. So there's no
Ashe.
shame in going back.
Yes.
And the different symbols for Sankofa. One is a bird with his beak turned back to its tail. Another one is one of the Adinkra symbols, and it looks like a heart.
Yes.
And if you go around New York, you see the handiwork of our ancestors being
Right.
passed on, because most of the fences that you see in New York City have the Sankofa symbol included in it. When you look for that heart, that's Sankofa.
Ashe, thank you. And some others too I've seen. I want to add something to the bird with the beak facing behind them, that there's an egg in the beak. And when you think of eggs, you think of like delicate, like they're breakable. So when we go back and fetch it, like just really the delicate nature of that, I think of conflict, I think of possibility and opportunity. And this whole postpartum awareness week focus is so that we can correct what has been broken, what is fragile now because of white supremacy culture, because of racism and Black we call it anti-Black racism specifically, and all of the other discrimination against immigrants and folks who have substance abuse issues and mental health issues and folks who are ably different, and just all of the layers. And if you have all of those, several of those identifying factors in your life, it makes it even more challenging to navigate in this world, not because of you and how you identify, but because of the world and the nature of the world that we live in and the ecosystem. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Adam, I saw your hand up. You'll be the last one before we move forward, because once again, we're foundation setting and we take our time with this. So Adam, what did you want to share as the first man to share in the space tonight? Is he still in the space or did he get bounced off?
Yeah,
Adam?
I'm here. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, go ahead, beloved.
What I was gonna say is what the 12 women are doing is they're doing something that's very uncomfortable and most people aren't doing because they're afraid and they'd rather be in their comfort zone. So what they're trying to do is create a space where we all can be free and we don't have to worry about somebody else trying to feed us and tell us what to do. It's all about our development as a people as opposed to, what the other person was saying. I mean, when we lose that connection with ourselves and lose that spirituality under somebody else's system, under the European system especially, it's all about establishing a value system and not letting anyone tell us how we should show up in the world and how we should, conduct ourselves.
Thank you.
It's all about power.
Thank you, brother. So appreciate you. So appreciate you. Love that your name is Adam and you dropping the signs. All right. So let's move forward. Thank you, family. And I'd love, 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 or we would, to have 2 readers for the PAW objective. And PAW is shorthand for Postpartum Awareness Week. We love our shorthand. So just wanted to make that known. E.R. Robin, if you can read. In fact, okay, we already got it. Rachel and E.R. Robin. So E.R. Robin first, and then Rachel, you can finish out the statement.
PAW objective number 2, to address the disparities in postpartum nutrition by eliminating barriers to breastfeeding, supporting parents who are formula feeding and/or introducing other foods, and advocating for policies that ensure safe and healthy environments where breastfeeding and pumping are supported.
Thank you so much. And Rachel?
To celebrate the work of midwives, lactation consultants, and breastfeeding support groups.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. We can carry on. All righty. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing someone who is one of my favorite people for many, many reasons. One of the things that I love about my relationship with this awesome wonder is that she is not only a young person, but she is a seasoned person too at the same time. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that she is in her 30s, and I think you're in your 33 year, and you'll correct me or you'll say what it is when you take the stage, Maddie Ness. But she also shows up with all of this wisdom of the ages. And so sometimes I forget how old, how young, how wise. My favorite word is juicy. She is. And I'm just reminded whenever I'm in her company. So Maddie Ness Rodriguez is going to be leading our opening ritual. She is a ceremonial space holder who uses her knowledge and experience to empower others on their healing journeys. She is certified and trained in different healing modalities, including Reiki, sound healing, and transformational hypnosis, amongst others. Her professional experience in the socio-emotional and mental health field complements her training as a recovery coach to support those she serves beyond their initial healing experiences with her. She is dedicated to helping her clients achieve positive shifts in their subconscious beliefs, healing core wounds, and behavioral patterns to transform their lives. And I want to say this is not listed explicitly, that I have had the pleasure of being able to be guided by Maddie Ness with the sacred medicines that are available to all of us so that we can heal, transform, ascend, and elevate ourselves for the service of humanity inside of our purposes. So I'm very, very appreciative of this and the fact that she's holding space and setting once again the powerful foundation for tonight's well-nourished session. All right, so without further ado, I call in the medicine woman and founder of Pray Party Repeat, Maddie Ness Rodriguez.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was so nourishing. It made me emotional, and I'm 34, and I'm landing in that with strength, thanks to you, honestly. Okay, so we're going to begin with permission to begin. Do I have anyone in the space that is 80 or above? Where are my wise elders at? We need y'all medicine, we need y'all permission. If you could just drop your name in the chat. Okay, I'll speak about it.
Mhm. Yeah, so just make the request again. Not sure if someone is in the space that age, but ask again, and then we'll see.
All right, is anyone in the space 80 years old or above? We would like your medicine in the space, your wisdom, and your permission. Okay, we have. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Someone dropped in the chat.
Okay, Amina, we have your permission. Okay, is there anyone? Amina, can you let us know your age? I just want to make sure.
65.
65, okay. Do we have anyone older than 65? Thank you for your permission, Amina.
Yes,
Okay. Can we know your age, please?
71.
71, thank you. Do we have anyone older than that in the space? And this is not done to spotlight necessarily the aging process, but more of the wisdom and the medicine, and to honor you all, because you are an important staple and foundation in our communities, in our lives, and in our sacred spaces. And we want to honor you by making sure that we have your permission to begin. Okay. With that being said, we have permission. So I will begin. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm going to take this moment to acknowledge that I and many of us are on stolen land that was acquired through genocide, through ethnic cleansing, and through displacement. I am currently on the land of the Nalape people, and I'd like you to please take a moment to write in the chat the land that you are on, and if you don't yet know, you can use the link that will be provided into the chat. Okay, Kikapukatona. Let me see that. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Are you all right? Yes, the Bronx, that's my hometown. I'm in Harlem, and this is the land of the Lenape. And while we all write in our own land acknowledgements, I'm going to go ahead and begin to call in some medicine. I'm calling in the medicine of the helping, compassionate spirits of the lands that we are on. And I'm sending love to the spirits of our ancestral lands, known and unknown. Allowing them to surround and envelop us. Go ahead and keep dropping your land. I'm going to go ahead and call in the medicine of the helping, compassionate, elevated ancestral spirits. And I'll be sending them love and light, especially to the ones that are not yet elevated. And with respect, I will now offer a libation to our ancestors, and you can begin to drop in the names of your ancestors into the chat. Drop the water into our ceremonial bowl. Sending love and gratitude to all the beautiful ancestors names in the chat. Ivan, Marilyn, Nicolasa, Sheila, Shayla, please. Willard, Naomi, Candida, Virginia, Ruth, Lynette, Paul, Nicola, Margaret, Yolanda, Eunice, Dallas. Beautiful.
And we'll keep reading as you share the medicine, sis. So would one of the admins please read the names?
Now I will begin to offer a blessing. So please close your eyes and allow yourself to receive. I call
Brianna
in
Starnes,
the
Margaret.
women and men of our mother lines.
L.J. Beautiful, Daisy,
I call in
and
the
St.
women
Clair.
and men of our father lines.
Taino Morales,
I
Calusa
call in
Fuente,
the lineages of
Oakman
those who have
Pravac,
supported our journeys in this life.
Bertha LeBlanc,
I call in the spirits of our lands.
Paola,
I ask you to bring your strength, your beauty, your dreams, your joy to us all.
Jimmy and Rosie Julian,
The
Rachel,
ones who now carry the work of our lineages. Bring energy and light into our lives so that we may do this work of transforming wounds, nurturing hope, celebrating joy, and sharing love.
Trinidad
We are
Tobago,
building
Taino,
the
Alana,
structures,
and
we
Marie,
are sowing the seeds of a beautiful life for ourselves
Shimani Gibson,
and for all who will come after us.
Great Grandma Marshall,
May we
Grandma
know that
Jose,
our lives and our energies, all our steps have been blessings.
Aunt Mary Chris Mayo, my mama
May
Patricia and Chris,
our ancestors rest in peace. May they be held by spirit. May their light be carried on.
Yvonne
Honor
Frederick,
you, ancestors.
Gregory Bowers,
We give thanks
Bonnie,
for you. We request and ask for your blessing, your energy to flow
Grandma Lulu,
like sacred rivers
James
through our
Boykin,
bodies and through our lives. And take a deep breath here.
Betty, Sue, Beverly, Renee, Bernard, Alicia, Jimmy,
I want to
Evan,
thank Father Sky, Grandfather Sun, Grandmother Moon. Please continue to illuminate us as well as our star brothers and sisters. I want to
Yorda
give thanks
Party,
to our eternal home,
Sydney Lockett,
Mother Earth, the cosmic womb.
Avis Moats, Roderick Pearson,
Take a deep breath here. I'm asking that all of our grounding cords be rooted into the earth
Eleanor DeFore,
so that we
Richard
may
Greer,
surrender to the blessings of the sacred waters. May our energy flow as it may need to.
Virginia West, Nancy Lee, Rosella Lee,
I'm calling in the blessings of the sacred fire. May our fire burn brightly so that we may stay full of passion to do this work and fulfill our missions.
Matea Cobater, George Carty, Robert Hassel, Mary Murray, Biden Nova,
You can open your
Elena
eyes when you're
Rebecca,
ready. Shawnee has given me the honor of opening today's ceremonially, excuse me. And one of the most beautiful aspects of ceremony is that we have to let a part of ourselves be willing to die if we are going to emerge from this event, from this postpartum awareness series, and this collective intention that we are setting to be renewed and born. Allow yourselves to set an intention for today, for what we want moving forward. I'm setting the intention that our hearts, our awareness, and these efforts that we are making together are allowing the current outdated and misaligned practices and attitudes around maternal and postpartum care die. I ask that you please keep an open mind and an open heart as we continue to journey into this sacred space, because ceremonies can also awaken a natural detoxification process, releasing impurities from our body, from our emotions, from our spirit, from our lineages, and also from the systems that we are breaking free from. With that being said, I am complete. I'm grateful. And I'm here to learn and be an ally. Thank you.
Thank you, sis. I gladly take the baton and carry on. Love you so much. Feel the energy in this space. We want to keep amplifying the energy in this space. Keep dropping in the names of the ancestors. It's not complete. Some of you may get nudges as particular things come up during this sacred time in this session. So drop them in. Don't make up, it's too late. It's not too late. They want their names to be spoken. If you get a nudge that an ancestor that you already dropped the name for wants to have their name dropped again, do it again. Honor the nudges that you receive. The reason why we're here today is because 3 women honored the nudges that we received from the ancestors, and others have honored theirs. And some of you, through your midwifery, your doulaship, through your lactation work, like all of you have said yes and yes and yes again. So keep doing that as we move through this session. We receive it all. And so as we keep amplifying the energy, and I'm mindful of the energy of the space, right? Because we're here to raise the vibration, not by force, but by choice. So I have a question for the community so that we can utilize words to be our wizards today. Words that create worlds allow for us to move things, right? The National Postpartum Awareness Week for Black, Indigenous people of color, very specific words. So I have a question and I invite you to use the QR code. We'll also drop the link in the chat so that you can answer. This is called a Mentimeter. Like there's so much technology that we can use. And so the way that you respond to this question is by clicking the link or using the QR code, just aiming your phone at the laptop or your PC so that you can answer this question. What would the world look and feel like, beloved, if all people were well nourished and cared for from birth? The name of today's session is Well Nourished. What would the world look and feel like if all people were well nourished and cared for from birth? So thoughts, emotions, anything that's coming up for you, use the link to add your words to the Mentimeter, and then we'll see what our manifestation creates, a form of art in the form of words. What would the world look like and feel like, beloved, if all people were well nourished and cared for from birth? So we have 26 responses: healed, loving, colorful, peaceful, powerful, balanced, joyful, oneness would exist, connected. And anybody can come off mute because it's not only my voice. Read out some of the ones that you haven't heard me say as it keeps getting populated and growing and expanding. Other voices, shout out what you see.
Ma'at,
Yes.
wealth,
Ashe.
a true community, equity,
Ashe.
healed, welcome,
Yes. Yes.
gratitude, marvelous.
Reciprocity.
Yes. I see some words that haven't been said out loud. Let's have our voices amplify them.
Opportunity.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Connection.
Yes.
Rejuvenating.
Yes. Thank you, brother.
Nourished.
Yes.
Reparations.
Marvelous.
Transformation.
Yes. I see some others that haven't been touched yet. Let's look and see.
And
Yes. Yes.
It'll be a lot of praising. We be praising and lifting up and dancing.
Yes. 67 responses. Go ahead, sis.
Calm,
Yes. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Yes.
sated, peaceful.
Liberated. Freedom.
Yes.
Fulfilled.
Ashe.
A lot of tears of joy.
Yes. Thank you, Teresa. Whole.
Loving.
Loving. I love this word. I don't think it's been said yet. Bright. Did some bright light. Beautiful. Any others?
The
Well,
truth.
Yes,
The
well.
truth.
So that too.
It,
Truth.
it'll be belly laughing.
Thank you.
Safety.
Yes. And that's at the center, right, Ia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see it at the center in blue, and then someone put safe sanctuary. Beautiful. All right. So we're going to ask for these energies to be in the space. And I'm going to, on the count of three, for you all to pick three just to say, right, rapid fire, right? Just say it rapid fire so we can shoot this energy out into the airspace, not just for us in this sacred space, but out into the world. I love that we have 77 people in the space and 71 of us have put shares in this chat. Thank you for your participation. And on three, pick three, just choose them right now, what you're going to say. It doesn't matter if someone else says it. We can always amplify it, cubed, squared, quadrupled, whatever, right? It's all good. So one, pick your three. Two, pick your three. Three, let it rip, y'all.
Love,
Safe, peace, and whole.
Excellent.
joy, and laughter. Faith and joy and laughter. Yes.
Love.
Dance and joy and laughter.
Yes.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yes.
All righty. So thank you to all. Love y'all so much. We're going to continue to build. We're talking about being well nourished. And what will that provide through the mechanism, the technology, the sacredness of breastfeeding? Let's see what that will provide.
Oh yeah, yeah, mama, oh yeah. Glorious river flow. Oh yeah, yeah, mama, oh yeah. Glorious river flow. From the springs of from the depth of ancient roots rises the nourishment of life, golden flow and pure and right. Oh yeah, yeah, mama, oh yeah, glorious river flow. Oh yeah, yeah, mama, oh yeah, glorious river flow. In the cradle of strong lungs, beneath the gaze of love and life, a bond is woven firm and tight. In the quiet hum of the night. Oh yeah, yeah, mama, oh yeah. Glorious river flow. Oh yeah, yeah, mama, oh yeah.
Righty. Just asking that we roll the slide deck back or take it down for just a sec so that we can continue to deepen the experience before we start the panel. All right. So some of you already started this, and I love that you intuitively picked it up. We're going to do something called sociometry. We want to know who's present in this space. But before I go there, I want to acknowledge my daughter, Jasmine, Nicole Gibson. That was her voice that you heard singing. That was her video that she created to support the session today so that we can big up the power of breastfeeding, a nourished community, a well-nourished community. So thank you, Jasmine. I was hearing it for the first time. I'm like, she's trying to take me out. She want me to fall over and be crying and not be able to carry on. But you didn't get me. You didn't get me. So just want to ask folks in the space to identify yourselves. And what we're going to do is sociometry. If you can take me off spotlight so we can see everybody in their boxes. We're going to do it by going on and off camera. And it'll be up to the folks who have been off camera. Like, I really wish y'all would show yourselves. Like, the faces just make things so juicy and great. Thank you, LaShonda, for showing your awesome face. Thank you, Altrina. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Betty Ness. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Ibrahim. And all of the others, Mama Charlotte. But we'll try this and see if you'll mind coming on. If you breastfed, whether it was for a short period of time or a long period of time, your baby, however you did it, no judgment here, please do come on camera. And if you did not, go off camera. So I see Lindsay, I see Altrina, I see Abby, I see LaShonda, I see Samantha, I see Amina. Let me see, I see Ibrahim. Hold on one second. Madinesh, you breastfeeding, girl? You're on camera. I see Z, I see Tiffany, Adidra, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Iman, I see, let me see who else is willing to come on camera. Mama Jean, Ario, Orla, Crystal, Laura, Akira, Fatter Lee or Io. I see a lot of folk. All right. Was Kathleen? I wasn't able to name everyone, so please forgive me. So we're gonna go. If you're on camera already, stay on camera if you wish, no force. We're gonna utilize the chat now. Try it a different way. This is sociometry. It's the measure of connections in a group, right? Sometimes we've been with people for years and we don't know anything about them because we've been taught by white supremacy culture that you don't ask personal questions. And I tell you, my daughters would tease me all the time because if we would go to a party or a wedding, I would be at the table with people, talking to them, asking deep questions, and they would be at the table at the party crying, and they're like, "You did it again, Ma." I'm like, I want to have real conversations with people. So if you know people for a long time and you don't know anything about them, I call you out on that because I want to know who I'm with and spending most of my time with, whether it's at work or somewhere else. So in this space, if you have had difficulty with breastfeeding or difficulty supporting someone with breastfeeding, please drop it in the chat by saying, yes, yes, that's me. If you had difficulty. All right, I see some of the drop-ins. I see a lot. Wow, okay, family. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, thank you. All right, so it's supporting someone else or for yourself. Thank you, Nicole, for breastfeeding 5 and a set of twins. Thank you, thank you. Judith, thank you. Grace, thank you. Keta, thank you. All right, y'all. Rachel. So anybody here who personally, with your own body, had challenges breastfeeding and are willing to share, please raise your digital hand. And I would love for it to be a person of color so we can center folks that identify as people of color in the space, because that's what this week is about. So anybody willing to share, raise your digital hand, sharing specifically what the challenge was. Go ahead, Teresa.
They told me that I couldn't breastfeed and that my son would be preeming too long, and so I let them give me a shot. I didn't know that I could have waited, so that's what happened with me. I wanted to, but they said no.
Got that. Misinformation, guided in a direction that didn't serve you or your baby at the time. Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
See, I see your hand, and then Steph, I see your hand. You need help unmuting? Oh, there you go. All right, we have 2 people speaking. 1 second, Steph. I think. All right. No, Z.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. No apology needed. Go ahead, Z.
My challenge was with extracting milk to leave with my babies when I had to leave them with someone else. they could get as much milk as they wanted from me, directly from me, but I could not express much of anything. So I ended up having to leave formula with them when I had to leave them. That really killed
Right. And how did you feel about that, sis?
It distressed me. I mean, I didn't want to leave them because I didn't want to give them anything except my milk.
Got that. Thank you.
Thank
you.
I had a choice, you know.
Thank you so much. Steph, your hand is up. Just unmute yourself.
Yes, sorry.
Mhm.
So my first baby, I had lots of difficulty, but it was mostly because I had never done it before. And he latched on my sister, and I was so upset. Not because he latched on her, I just knew that he can do it. It's just I didn't know. And she's like, he's gonna be able to do it. You just gotta give him some time. And then I just had so many women just come around and say, well, try this, try this. And when I relaxed and kept doing it and just tried to find different resources. And you know, my partner, husband, he was like, just do it this way. Do this, just squeeze it on a spoon, do all this stuff. I'm like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He knew intrinsically what to do. And after I became a lactation counselor, I was like, oh my God, this man he already knew. Like the ancestors were telling him, like, this is what you need to do to whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I had a hard time, and you know, everything makes you feel so terrible about it because you're supposed to just know what to do.
Got that.
If I didn't have the support of somebody else saying, well, you can do this, it'll take some time.
You're fading out. If you don't, Steph, I don't know if it's your hand covering the mic or something, but you're
Probably.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if I didn't have like a supportive people around me, then I would not have made it. But I also had people who brought in formula, right? They're like snuck it in, and I'm like, throw that shit out. Sorry. But it was just like I really wanted to, and I had people to help me. And now I've been breastfeeding for 8 years, 3 babies, and supported women breastfeeding. So
Ashe.
testimony you can do it.
Thank you, beloved. Thank you so much for sharing. And if you're open, I would like to offer you a gift from the community. Are you open? Steph?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's leave Steph. Well, actually, let's go to gallery view if you don't mind. And Steph, stay on camera so that we can see your beautiful face. Let me see if I can find you. And I just ask you to do that. Oh, Lord, I can't find it. All right, we're gonna have to keep you here because I want to be able to see you. So I'm asking the community, before we start, I'm just going to give very specific instructions. We're going to honor the sacredness of her feeding her babies, of her not being stopped and blocked. Whatever comes up for you to say, use her name. And you're fine with us calling you Steph? Okay, wonderful. Just acknowledging her for sticking and staying, for feeding her babies, for co-creating, for allowing her sister to try with her baby. In this country, people would be like judging that. It's like, we're so lost. So I want to acknowledge you for all of that, right? And I'm going to count to 3, and we're going to pour you out a loving offering. We call this a love shower for what your breast can do, what your body can do, what your mind, what your spirit can do, what your community can do, because we love you, Steph, and we thank you for nourishing your children. And as a result of you nourishing your children, you're nourishing the world, because it's well-nourished children nourish the world. So family, if you're ready, on the count of 3, unmute and just pour love into Steph and her beautiful body and her offering.
Thank you.
1,
Thank you,
2,
Steph, for just keep on
3.
pushing.
Thank you, Steph, for
Thank
not
you.
taking
you,
no for
Steph.
an
Thank
answer.
you for
For
Gave your
amazing.
children a
doing
Thank
what
you
wonderful
you
that you kept
not
Oh,
pushing.
giving
beautiful
your
Thank
compliment.
you that
children,
you
for your
did.
body and your
Children.
intuition, God, of your body.
Love
It is
you.
not
The
given out.
environment that we live in is not
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
important for
See that you
you.
hit that you're
For
focused.
your babies to be healthy and have the best possible
Thank you,
outcome
thank
for their
you,
lives.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
To help
See
them
that
thrive,
you
not
right
you
now.
in the future.
So that
Thank you
whatever
so much
comes to
for
your
doing
mind,
that.
that
Good
whatever
You
job.
comes
gave
to
it
think
so
of,
I'm
that they
so
be
proud of
removed
you.
right
So
now.
proud of you.
In the future.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
doing
Thank you.
everything.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
Thank you for
job.
letting me be
Well
a part of
done.
this
you for
witness.
You should be
doing that.
proud of
God.
Thank
yourself.
you
And
for being
blessings
an
to you.
example.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
For
you.
leading
Thank
the
you,
way
Dr.
and
P, the
being a
beauty
leader.
and the gift of who you
This
are.
is such a better
Thank you.
place.
Giving the
Yes,
gift
sir.
of life. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All
I love
right.
you, Steph.
Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah, Steph, how did that feel, beloved?
Something I didn't know I needed. So thank
Ashe.
you.
Yeah. Thank you for showing up for this. You know, I try to listen when the ancestors ask for me to do stuff. And what I love about this is not just for you, it's for all of the women who have similar stories in this space and beyond. Thank you for being the conduit for them to be acknowledged and loved on and uplifted so that they can ascend and keep nourishing community like you have done. Thank you for your contribution. All right, family. Woo, man. It's gonna be something tonight. All right, we are ready to carry on. Y'all ready? Because I am. Let me know if you're ready. Put it in the chat. All right, so admin, because I'm caught up in the moment, need guidance. Are we ready to move forward with the panel?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Shan. All right, so I get an opportunity to introduce another powerhouse. So tonight we have the benefit of having beloved sister Altrina lead the way in this powerful conversation that she will co-create with our panelists. And, you know, she'll create the space for them to introduce themselves. And Altrina, I do not want to mispronounce your last name. So can you pronounce it for me and the community so we can make sure that we land this because it has an energy?
Yes. My name is Altrina Mukuria Ash.
Mukuria Ash.
Many people call me Ashe, and it's okay.
Yes, Dr. Ashe. Look at that, walking around with that. That must be amazing. Oh, so Mama Ash, Dr. Ash, is a certified lactation specialist, is a retired global health specialist with over 40 years experience working in complex nutrition and health programs in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean. She completed her doctoral studies in public health at Johns Hopkins University with a dissertation on exclusive breastfeeding and the role of social support and social networks. Dr. Mukuria Ash has conducted research and published on engaging family members in infant and young child feeding, exclusive breastfeeding measurement, the Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative, growth monitoring and promotion, and maternal nutrition in low and middle income countries. She completed training and recently took the board exams to become an international board certified lactation consultant, IBCLC, and plans to continue to support breast and chest feeding families domestically. Thank you, Dr. Ash, for your awesome, awesome work. And thank you for what your body could do because you also breastfed. I love, love, love that. So I'm going to hand over the mic to you so that you can lead the panel well nourished, feeding our babies, securing our futures. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, I breastfed 3 children, for each one for a little over a year. I would like to introduce the rest of the panelists. Mention Ibrahim Greenidge, who co-founded the Bolt Architecture. We have Ario Pierre Sutton, an IBCLC at Jamaica Hospital Medical Center. We have LaShonda Dandridge, an IBCLC, a co-founder of the Uptown Village Cooperative. And last but not least, we have Muhonja Simba, a chef at Muhonja's Kitchen. I hope I pronounced your names correctly. So I would like for to get started, if each would introduce yourself, because I know there's more to you than just your names that I mentioned and your titles, and your share a bit about your relationship and experience with breast or chest feeding. Include your work and your lived experience as well. So let's start with Ibrahim Greenwich. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, you did, and thank you, Altrina. Greetings, everyone, and happy Tuesday. It's wonderful to be with all of you. My name is Ibrahim. I'm a father, husband, son, brother, architect, author, entrepreneur, and avid Formula One fan. I'm a Brooklynite, and I'm also a product of breastfeeding. As an architect, we believe that we create spaces that heal people, and some of the practices that we foster into a lot of the buildings, and the ethos into the design of our buildings is through what we've created is aligned with the Inhabitant Bill of Rights. And you know that you can see a little bit of that on ibrahimthearchitect.com, but it pertains to providing access to fresh air, clean water, access to plenty of sunlight, access to green space. And we believe that access to these spaces will allow humans to just be healthier. So you want me to, Altrina, you want me to pass it to somebody else, or you?
Yes, why don't you? Thank you.
Let's pass it to Mahanja. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Hello, yes, it's actually
Wonderful.
pronounced Mwanja. Can everyone hear me?
Manja?
Manja, yes.
Mwanja,
Beautiful.
Clear.
Got
Mwanja.
it. Thank you.
I apologize, I'm having some difficulties with my video today. As I mentioned, my name is Mwanja Simba, originally from East Africa. My mother is from Kenya and my father is from Tanzania. I was born in Egypt. I was raised between the UK and the US, mostly the US. I came here when I was a teenager. I have now been living in Brooklyn for about 18 years. I've been living in New York for 25 years. I am an independent mother, AKA a single mother. I've been breastfeeding my daughter, Zuri, who's now 15 months. I'm still breastfeeding up to today and nourishing her with some of my cooking. With that, I am complete.
Thank you. So can you pass it on to someone?
Yes, I would love to pass it on to Lashonda. I apologize, I cannot see your last name right now to introduce you.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Beautiful. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for everyone for the Speak and Change people to invite me here tonight. I'm very, very excited to be here and needed to be here tonight. My name is Lashonda Dandridge. I am an IBCLC, and you heard those letters stand for a very long title of International Board Certified Lactation Consultant. I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of like what these letters mean and what these levels of lactation support are here in America. But I am a mother of one. She's 15 years old, and she actually just cooked for me tonight. So I fed her from my body, and now she's cooking for me. It happens, people. It happens. Right? So I breastfed her for 8 months. I always say if I knew what I knew now, I knew back then, and we'd probably still be breastfeeding. But I organically loved our experience. I would say from the question before of if you had any challenges, my only challenge that I can think of back then was that I didn't get the support. Like people wasn't getting the right information. That's why I ended up stopping at 8 months when she got teeth. So, but organically, I loved my experience and started talking to other parents and moms about their experiences. And unfortunately, we don't start talking about breastfeeding and birthing stuff until we become in that situation. Not like we did back then, but now in modern day America, this is where we are. And when I started talking about it, I learned that not a lot of people do it, especially, and not a lot of Black women do it. So they say, and I was like, I'm sitting here, I'm a Black woman, I'm doing this. What are you talking about? Right? So I found out about the profession of lactation consulting and doulas and all that stuff. And the rest is history. I was hooked. And one of the main things that hooked me was not only helping others enjoy their experience, not like you have to breastfeed, but enjoy whatever they chose to do, but especially helping my community, and not only just helping parents in the new phase of feeding, but also helping create more lactation consultants of color. So that is one of my many, many passions. And that's why I'm so happy to be able to, that we were able to pass it on this way, because I'm going to pass it on to Ario, who we have a little history together.
Hi, everyone. If I look really burnt, it's because I'm in Trinidad on vacation. So I don't want to make anybody jealous, but I'm really burnt. I'm just saying, I'm sorry. But yes, so I am a mom of two, my oldest being 5, my youngest being 2. He just turned 2 last month. LaShonda and I go back to our days at Chocolate Milk Cafe, so we have that connection. And Chocolate Milk Cafe was one of the organizations that supported me with breastfeeding when I had my first child. Just today, I was talking to somebody. I met her at the beach and we were talking about breastfeeding, and I was telling her, she was like, "Oh, I worked at this particular hospital." I was like, "I gave birth there and it was horrible." Just had to tell about the service. But she was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Yeah, no, I would never do that again." But what made me want to become an IBCLC was the fact that I didn't want anybody else to have the feeling that I felt when I had my first son. My son was a NICU baby, and I didn't feel supported in that space. I did not feel like I had a voice. My mom was the one who supported me with breastfeeding because they were forcing me to give formula in the hospital. And so by the time I got home, my mom was like, "Yeah, you're not going to be doing that. You're going to be doing this breastfeeding thing." And the fact that everyone around me had breastfed. I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, so literally everybody around me had breastfed. So it was very strange to me that formula was the feeding choice for people in the United States. But now I am able to better support families to say, "Hey, no matter what your choice is, I am here to support you in your choices and have you do it safely." So, yes, we want to encourage families to breastfeed, but we really have to honor their choice, and that's why we're here.
Excellent. Thank you, all of you, for your testimonies and sharing a little bit about your background. I just wanted to share a little bit for everyone that the other day it was mentioned that Black midwives birthed this nation. And I want to add that Black women nursed this nation. And where we are now doesn't reflect where we started. Maybe just to give you some background, that breast and chest feeding has many advantages and benefits to both mothers and infants. That the breastfed infants have a higher IQ, they have reduced risk of ear and respiratory and gastrointestinal infections, they're less likely to get asthma, to gain obesity and diabetes. They also have a lower risk of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. And then the mothers who breastfeed, they have a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes, hypertension, breast and ovarian cancers. Breastfeeding can be a protective factor, strengthening the relationship between the breastfeeding parent and the baby, and it increases the health and resilience of the child. Globally, it's recommended that infants should be exclusively fed for 6 months and then started on solid foods called complementary feeding, along with continued breastfeeding for at least 2 years, right? But what we find here in the US, that the duration and the initiation and the exclusivity of breastfeeding is 10 to 20% lower among Black infants than white infants. And some of you have explained, like Ario said, that she was encouraged to formula feed, that we find the practices in hospitals sometimes discourage our mothers and our breastfeeding parents from doing breastfeeding. They just look at us and they say, the statistics, you don't breastfeed, so they don't even bother. We also know that we have lower rates of breastfeeding due to cultural and individual impacts of the legacy of slavery and the Jim Crow period, right? And so that has led to institutionalized racism that has impact and that we have internalized ourselves and that are leading to our lower breastfeeding rates. But also the more positive rates of white women is due to, in part, to institutionalized systems that privilege them. And that privilege and that power is not available to us. So despite these disparities and that raise concerns for our Black mothers and babies, we can intervene. And I'm so happy to have on the panel the IBCLCs and others that are supporting Black mothers and mothers of color and those birthing parents. And so I applaud you, and I'm trying to join you. I took my exam. We'll see what the results say, but I am so pleased. So we now, as a community, must be disruptors of this status quo. So let's begin to unpack the barriers and some of those facilitators of breast and chest feeding that you have encountered, that you are aware of as our experts on the panel. So maybe LaShonda, you can tell us a little bit, share some of the experiences, the thoughts, the emotions, the knowledge, the experiences you had in helping mothers, and share a couple of those barriers. We'll talk about the benefits later, but let's first touch on some of the barriers that we've seen.
Yeah, I think the main barrier here in a lot of the Western worlds, not just America, but other, and as we move out, the world is being more influenced by Western culture, unfortunately. But it's, I know it's been said many times, but it's not that we as Black and BIPOC people want to keep harping on this. Like, it's simply put racism, right? It's not that we want to keep harping on it. We want it to go away. Like I always say, like, I do this work, but as I mentioned, my daughter's 15. I don't want her to have to be taking over my business and doing this work when she's a parent, if she chooses to be a parent. That's not the legacy I want, right? I want her to be in a world where it's just organic and natural, that this is what is done and what happens, and there's not this fight. I literally tell when I teach prenatal classes, when I'm teaching to our community, I feel like I'm arming them for war going into these systems. As you mentioned, we as Black women have nourished, right? We birth, we caught babies, and we nourish those babies of all races, right? And it's, again, we don't want to have to continue doing this, right? But those ideas, those thinking, those teachings of the people who continue to want to oppress us, those things haven't changed. So if you on here haven't heard this before, or this is your first time hearing this, like, even the knowledge that you're getting here in these few minutes, right, of us talking about breastfeeding, the doctors and nurses sometimes don't get that in school, right? Something that is so organic and life-changing, right? Health, right? The basis of health, lifelong health, as you just mentioned, for baby and the birthing parent, right? They don't learn those basics in school, right? So I tell people, when you take my class for 3 hours, you know more than your doctor or your nurse, your bedside nurse sometimes, right? So just that big barrier there, that it's not respected and really, like, honored that they're teaching it, right, in depth in medical school. And in America, this is the MD, the people with those letters behind their name, those are usually the people that you're going to for your knowledge, right? And you're expecting them to know what they're talking about, and they don't know. And then they don't respect, like, the doulas and the lactation consultants, who we're the first ones in their bedside in the hospital or in the homes that are helping out. Right. So there's that disconnect there. Right. And then, as was mentioned before, just not the respect of the breast. Right. It's seen as like the sexual thing, but it's literally what nourishes us, has nourished us for generations. We would not be here if it was not for mammary glands, right? If we think about it. So it's the lack of, knowledge, which is a huge barrier, and then just the respect and the, as we've mentioned several times throughout the evening, like the support and the safety of, helping parents nourish their children. And I know other people have other things much more to chime in on, so I don't want to take up too much time.
Thank you. Maybe Mahanja, you can share your experience and knowledge around some of the barriers. Mahanja, you're frozen. So let's go to Ario until Mahanja gets reconnected.
Well, I just wanted to kind of tap into what LaShonda said. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of times, when speaking with families, they talk about, well, my mom didn't do it. Or, my family, it hasn't been done. And we realize that it comes from that like 60s, 70s, maybe even the 50s, when formula was seen as something of like a status quo. Like, if you were able to formula feed, it showed that, where you had money, you had status. And so families then look at formula as this thing where, well, I'm not going to breastfeed because I want to show the rest of the world that I have, money, or I have position. And so we as families of color need to move away from that. We need to recognize that the best thing we can do for ourselves and for our children is to breastfeed, because I know what I'm putting in my body. I don't know what they're putting in those bottles. A lot of times you read those labels and it's like, oh my God, what is this? What is, a lot of times you don't realize that half of the things they're putting in there are sweeteners and, things to make it palatable for the baby. But, that's not what we need. I also tell families, when we had that formula recall 2 years ago, it wasn't because they weren't putting out enough formula. It was that they found that all of it had contamination and they had to take it all away. So it wasn't that they weren't making enough. It was that, hey, this is contaminated and we have to take it all at the same time. So imagine if that were to happen again and we are so dependent on formula still, what would happen? What would be our recourse? And so if you're able to at least try, work with a lactation consultant, because these are the people that you're seeing frontline, as LaShonda said, your lactation consultant, your all of these people on the team, your doula, they are able to educate you and start you on the best journey. So I think having the knowledge is one of the things that is going to equip us to be able to better, nourish ourselves and our babies.
Thank you, Ario. Someone put in the chat, Kathleen put in the chat about a C-section birthing trauma is one that inhibited her ability to breastfeed fully, I believe. And I know there are many traumas that we as women have experienced in the birthing process that has impacted or disenabled us from breastfeeding. Maybe if you have, if you can just very briefly, if you are aware of some traumas that may have also affected mothers to not breastfeed. LaShonda.
Well, I think something that a lot of people don't take, a lot of the medical system, the medical doctors, unfortunately, are moving more towards this, like it's a mechanical thing, right? Like, oh, you come in, you push out baby, you go home, right? And so unfortunately, we're seeing a lot more birth traumas, whether it's emergency C-sections, whether it's unnecessary C-sections, a lot, inductions and such. And what I was starting to say is that the medical community, unfortunately, a lot of them aren't making the connection that what happens in your birth is going to show up in your postpartum, right? Those traumas are going to show up. And so just not that it's not being flippant about it, but if you're not able to process your birth or recover and you're stressed, right? Stress is not going to help your milk flow, right? We need oxytocin, we need that bonding. And I always tell people like oxytocin and cortisol stress, they can't live in the same space, right? So if you're stressed, you're not gonna let down milk or much milk. And so then, but unfortunately, what now happens for that parent is they make the connection of I don't have enough milk and my body can't do it. And then that starts them down to this road of supplementing more because obviously baby needs to get fed. And we're seeing much more of this.
Thank you. Wanja, you're back. Maybe you can share. Hopefully you'll stay on long enough so we can hear from you.
Thank you so much. Some of the barriers that I encounter with my baby, it was definitely stress. Becoming a mother, for sure, I knew that I wanted to breastfeed my baby, knowing that, the breast milk has so much nourishment and it also protects the baby coming into earthside and just being exposed to whatever that I'm eating. I knew that I was sharing that with my baby. So with me dealing with trauma through my pregnancy, everyday stress, the stress of being an immigrant, not having access to certain, not having access to certain things that a mother would need. And also, just being a single mom, there's so much information being added to you. Everyone wants to share, everyone wants to help, and it's overwhelming. So for me, stress was the biggest barrier. And how I overcome that is the way that I had to really focus on food that will supply enough milk for me to be able to feed my baby. And focusing on certain foods, and certain, it became almost like a food diary for me. So from that, my relationship with my baby and breastfeeding became a little bit manageable in the beginning of my 4th trimester. With that.
Thank you for that personal testimony. Another area of stress is work. Nobody's mentioned. Maybe Ario, have you talked with mothers or challenges around having to get back to work? Our country is so pressed upon the work environment and getting moms back to work, and this is another trauma and stress.
I mean, as a working breastfeeding mom myself, it is always difficult to be able to balance pumping and or feeding your baby from your body and going back to work. And a lot of times we see women of color tend to be the ones who have to go back to work sooner. So, they're like, oh, I gotta feed my family, so I gotta go back to work. So I gotta, you talk to them and they're 1 day postpartum, 2 days postpartum, and they're talking about, well, I don't want to breastfeed, or I want to start introducing formula because I want to be able to go back to work soon. And you're like, well, when are you going back to work? And they're like, maybe in 3, 4, maybe 6 weeks, if so much. And it's already on their mind as to, I got to go back to work. So I got to start supplementing this baby because this baby is going to be going to daycare. But one of the things I always try to talk to patients about is, one, the Pump Act. Know your rights. That's the first thing. You have to know your rights. So what is your employer's obligation? What are they obligated to do? Right? And if you know that, to be forearmed is to be forewarned, because you already know, okay, I work in this kind of sector and these are my rights. And so a lot of times people are afraid to approach their employer because they feel like, if I approach my employer and they say no, or they don't want to make concessions, then I could lose my job, and I can't afford to lose my job. But again, knowing your rights, knowing the law, and knowing that you can report your employer anonymously. So you don't have to go on record and say, I'm reporting my employer. Just anonymously making that call and saying, hey, this person is in violation of the Pump Act, right? And so knowing that is very, very important. Also, developing a routine, having a good pump. A lot of times people feel like, you know what, I'm going to get a wearable pump. But, knowing when to introduce what is also important, because you don't want to start out the gate with a wearable pump, but it may be introduced down the line, So we want to educate families again about and that's why it's very, very, very important that you speak to somebody who is either a lactation consultant or somebody who's knowledgeable about these things, just to give you the education and information that you would need to be able to safely introduce your baby or introduce work back into your routine, because you've been home for the postpartum period and now you're reintroducing work into your life. Being able to schedule your pump breaks, all of those things are very, very important when you're thinking about going back to work.
Thank you. Now we've talked about some of the problems, some of the challenges, some of the barriers, and our time is short. I want to move towards those things, those facilitators, those things that enable mothers to breastfeed. And I want to come to you, Ibrahim, as a dad. And I have to tell the truth that I wrote a paper around the support of men and grandmothers. So as a dad, tell us about some of those positive facilitators that can be there for the family.
Thank you. The first barrier that I had to adjust to was just the education. Society, news, TV creates this misnomer belief that a child is born and you just put the boob in their breast in their mouth and voila, they start eating. And no, there's an adjustment period. And even from my wife, no one ever said it was painful. I had no idea it was painful. And so that was a big adjustment for me. I'm like, wow, it hurts. I didn't know. And how do you help? What are there ointments? Are there products? Because now the child can consume some of these products and these ointments. What are different strategies that we can use? So it was really just understanding that part of it. And then, once the child latches, it becomes, okay, how do we maintain this milk? So no one told me that your wife needs to drink water in order for there to be milk. So, so I was like, I was putting water in every room, everywhere. I was trying to ensure that she had constant availability of water in, whether it was cold or you wanted room temperature, do you want filtered or bottled or whatever flavor you like, or as long as it was some sort of water around, I sort of that was one of the roles that I played. And frankly, there were moments as a husband and father where I kind of was like relegated from the starting player to the bench, because what role do I have? I don't have the equipment to be able to facilitate, the liquid gold. And so I was always trying to prepare to have the bottles ready, anything that she pumped to make sure that it was warm, or that the bottle warmer was ready, diapers were clean, clothes were available. So I really was trying to make sure that the environment and was safe, comfortable, and that my wife had everything that she can have at her disposal, or I was just a phone call away or a request to give her what she needs so that she felt comfortable. And that was really that really created a whole new routine for me, because again, it was just the two of us, and then there was three of us, and then lo and behold, there was four of us. So all these different dynamics sort of came into play. And then it was, oh yeah, the first one was completely different than the second one. And then it's like there's new dynamics and new feeding schedules and new all these other things that you kind of got to be prepared for. And I was like, okay, I thought we got over this thing. But these are the things that I constantly yearn for and ask for. Being a Black father, I didn't know of any like groups at the time. So I was just maybe it's my naivete or my ignorance. I just woke up and talked to a lot of the fellas who I know who are either recently married or had young children, and I would ask them for information. So I ended up creating a father's every Sunday, every once a month. With a lot of the fathers and I, we would get together and just hang out with our girls, and we would share information about what were you experiencing. Oh, this is oh, you should try this, or maybe you should try this. Whether it's not necessarily formula, it could be a different type of pacifier, or different types of bottles, or different types of bottle warmers. So it really became this space where I went from being in an island to really being around a lot of other brothers who were just going through the same thing, and we just found outlets to speak to each other. And that information really did educate me on the process and what and how important breastfeeding is to the growth and production of the child.
Excellent. Somebody put in the chat about Go Bench. Hey,
Yeah.
those bench guys are so important. They are
Go
so
bench.
important. We have this thing called 10 steps for successful breastfeeding that hospitals are supposed to practice. And one of them is educating the family, not just the mother, but the family. So dad should have been included in that education, and you would have been ready coming out of the blocks, right? That's a barrier for us because we don't address the dads and the family.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
bring them up to date. The other thing that you did was being her support, making sure water was everywhere, making sure she has food, doing the runs to the supermarket, the things that she used to do, the cleaning around the house. Those are such important supports that enable her or the partner to sit back, relax, and breastfeed the baby, right?
Absolutely.
Cooking dinner and making sure she has food that she don't have to worry about. And then when you had the second child, now somebody take care of that child so that mommy is free to breastfeed. We need all of those supports, and the bench is important.
The bench,
We
yes.
need the bench.
Yes, Altrina, the bench.
The bench is important. Now, maybe Ario, you can tell us a little bit about some additional supports. I saw in the chat somebody talked about how their mother came and provided support. You may have other
my
examples.
mom was the MVP. You know, she was it. A lot of times I tell people dads can do skin to skin too. So Ibrahim, if you have another one, skin to skin.
I definitely did.
I have one of the pictures that actually Jamaica Hospital has up in their NICU flyer is of my husband doing skin to skin with our first baby. I was actually not able to I didn't meet my son for the first 4 days of his life because I had a C-section. I was on MAG, and unfortunately I couldn't. So afterwards they were showing me, and I saw my husband doing skin to skin, and I was like, oh my goodness, because these are some of the things that I really wanted. And so, you know, your support system, the people that you have in your corner, the people who are behind you are really, really, really important. I remember my mom came from Trinidad maybe about 2 months before I delivered, and then she stayed 2 months after I delivered. And it made such a big difference in my life. I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I had her for my second. My mom passed 18 months after my first child was born. So I was like, where were you with my second? Like, he is a no limit soldier. Like, what's going on? I need you here. But my husband was the real MVP, still is, because right now he's holding them down because they in the back screaming. But as Ibrahim said, fathers are partners are very, very, very important because they make the world go round. They support us to be able to continue in this breastfeeding journey. Some of the days that I felt like giving up, my husband was like, you know, breastfeeding is free, so don't give up, because that's what we need to do. And even if that was his way of encouraging me, it still was what I needed to get through the day. On the days when I felt like, you know what, I want to wean this baby, like, I'm tired of you. He was like, So we've been 5 years consecutively with both of my kids. And so, you know, it is very important to have a great support system. We talk to families each and every day and tell them that's one of the main building blocks in having a successful breastfeeding journey. I don't know if LaShonda can comment a little more on that, but can I pass it to her, Altrina?
Please do. Go ahead.
So yes, when I try and teach class or any like doulas, I talk to any other lactation professional, I'm always like, don't let the partner run out the room. We need that. I always tell parents that, especially the pregnant parent, like two brains are better than one. You're gonna need that. After the baby's born, it's like one brain, right? But the partner's brain is usually less sleep deprived. So I want them to hear that information too. And if it's, if there's a single parent, I'm like, let me talk to grandma, let me talk to grandpa, whoever's gonna be your support circle, bring them to class. So they can all hear the information, they can all hear everything. Sometimes it was like, oh, grandma may not be on the same page and stuff. And so when I worked in the hospital, I'd be like, okay, I devise a plan. Okay, grandma's gonna be here at 4 o'clock. I'm gonna come back at 4 o'clock and I'm gonna start talking and then I'm gonna make friends with grandma. And so then, so having that support, whether it's a paid support person as a lactation professional, but these things should be really thought of prenatally, right? We really want to get that into parents' head. Like think about it prenatally, what support you're gonna need afterwards. And then, so we just keep talking about IBCLC and lactation consultants and doulas and stuff. These are all now professions, but they weren't all, they were just organically in the community. So much like Ibrahim did, where you went and you got, just talking to your fellas and you made community and you communed and that's what we've always done as a culture. So here in America, because it's we all like a hustle, this became a profession. But just start talking to other people and building your village. It doesn't have to be paid support. So I mentioned before, and Ario mentioned, we are part of an organization called Chocolate Milk Cafe, which is a lactation support group for those of the African diaspora. And it's not just the lactating person, the whole family can come. So again, the next time, Ibrahim, with the next one, you can come to the group with your wife as well. And that's peer support, because that peer knowledge, again, like Ibrahim did, is valuable. In Chocolate Milk Cafe, we say we're restoring the village. It's not like, it's not something new and, shiny thing that we're just doing. We've always done this and we're restoring that cultural knowledge that we have always had. So it doesn't always have to be paid support, or if you don't have immediate support, because sometimes you live here and your family's in another state or another country, and so there are organizations out there, or just organically with your friends, with your girlfriends. I'm a single mom too, and I got many baby daddies, because I had to pull in all my girlfriends to help me pick up here, go there, so yeah, we make do with what we have, and we've always done that as a community.
So I want to give the last word to Mwanja, and then we'll open it up for questions and comments from the community. But Mwanja, maybe you can tell us, looking forward, having had the recent experience, talk about what, let's look at the future perspective of what can we do to better support moms and to enable them to breastfeed. Mwanja, are you still with us?
I'm still here. For me, I would speak from, my personal experience again, with not having immediate family here and having friends, but having been the first friend to really have a baby, and the friends that I have, they work a lot, they're single. So, and also, I had a traumatic experience with my pregnancy. So therefore, I really didn't trust my immediate support to support me. And so therefore, I utilized all the resources that were available to me that I didn't know when I was pregnant they were available, like a doula. And the reason why I'm saying this for the future, not every mother wants, their friend or their family to be their immediate support. For a single mother, at least I'm speaking for myself. knowing that, it's hard to communicate at times in certain relationships. And so for me, the support that I received professionally from a doula allowed me to actually do the work that I.
You're on mute, Mwanja.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I think I left off when I was saying that, the professional help that I received was really helpful to me because for me, my doula was able to do the work that I couldn't personally do and take care of my baby. Right. So I was able to, and this was more recently, when, my baby turned like about 10 months, where then now when I had that professional support, I was like, okay, now I can focus on making these purees for my baby girl. Now I can really focus on, all the foods that I need to journal that can possibly become a book and become helpful to somebody else in the future, of all the details and the things that I went through with stress that can be helpful to somebody else to be able to feed themselves and the baby. And I really believe that for me, that, because I didn't feel comfortable with the support that I had in my immediate circle, the professional support was really helpful to me because it was very standard where, like, my doula will ask me, what can I do today for you? And I just said this, so I can be able to cook dinner, so I can be able to make lunch, so I can be able to answer this phone call and think clearly.
That is wonderful that you were able to find that support. Though you didn't have family and friends, there was doula there. I would like to open it up now. Thank you all so much for your valuable experiences and knowledge that you've shared with all of us. So I want to open it up to the community. If you have comments or questions for any of the speakers or in general, can you put your hand up? There we go. Amadoma.
Greetings, everyone. I've been moving around, so I was off camera, but I wanted to mention, I didn't hear anyone mention one of the barriers to breastfeeding, and I think it's important that we don't make anyone feel bullied or shamed if they choose not to do it. And one of the barriers is if a person has been sexually violated, they may not want anyone on their breast. And if a person says no, it's important to respect that decision.
Exactly.
Also, someone told me when they were in the hospital, they felt like they were being bullied into doing it. The nurses were coming in insisting that they do it. And I think it's important. We give the information so that the people can make informed consent, but not to make them feel bad if they make a decision not to do it. I'm all for breastfeeding. I'm a lactation counselor. I worked for WIC for many years as a breastfeeding peer counselor, so I'm all for it. But I recognize that there are some people who won't do it for different reasons.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, we're about supporting mothers, breastfeeding people, families to make their own choices, and we help them get there, whatever those choices are. That's what we are truly about. Thank you for raising that. And there are additional traumas that may be impacting people and impacting their decision that we have to respect. Teresa.
Peace and blessing. Thank you for this conversation. But I wanted to ask a question. I'm 65. I'm not trying to be a mom, but I just want to ask someone is like, what is the process that women need to do in order for them to get the help? Because, like, there's a lot of help out here, but people don't even know. Like, I remember Amari did something where he said he prepared when him and Shamani had their baby. So a lot of people are not prepared and don't even know like the steps to take. So, is there any steps that y'all can tell mothers on here or future mothers? What you should do, like when you're preparing to have a baby, or if you just happen to get pregnant before you prepare, like how do you handle that? Because I have a lot of nieces and stuff. They were not prepared, and some went through postpartum depression, all this stuff, and they had no aware what, and we didn't even know what they were doing. We didn't realize until till I started coming on here with Shawnee, that's when I realized, oh goodness, my sister, myself, we all went through this, but we did not know what we were going through. So it's a lot of misinformation, and people just say, oh, just get over it, or you're going to be okay, but they do not. There's no gentleness. So that's the thing. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for this lovely conference. Appreciate it.
Thank you. LaShonda, you want to answer?
I think the most basic thing, if it's basic, is just to take a class, like take all the classes. I think birthing and being pregnant has been around again for millennia generations, right? We wouldn't be here without it. And I think kind of like what Ibrahim said is like people think like, oh, when you have the baby's gonna know what to do when you latch, or I'm just gonna go into labor and it's gonna be. And yes, way back when we talked about this more as a society and it was supported in the society and we talked about it freely, we didn't need these classes or these professions. But yes, it's a natural thing, but it doesn't come naturally, right? So take all the classes. If you are able to have insurance, whether no matter what level of insurance you have nowadays, whether it's Medicaid or private, if you go through that insurance panel, it's going to take a little bit of time. If you go through that insurance panel, you will find that you got to dig for it. But in the maternal package that you can either find free classes or you can pay for a little bit for classes. But I would say take the classes because the classes are going to give you the education, and then ideally they would connect you to resources in your community if you're not aware of them just yet. So I think that's a basic one. So if you see anyone, well, you assume to have a pregnant belly, we don't assume, but if you want to be like, hey, here's some information of a class and but really encourage people just to take a class, or, if you can connect them with the doula, that would be best to get them in the cipher.
Great. And I think there was some links that were dropped in the chat. So please check those. Thank you. Makeda, I think that's your name. You raised your hand. I didn't see it, but you mentioned in the chat that you raised your hand. You want to come off and raise your question? Is that Makeda? If not, then is there anyone else? Tiffany, is that a hand or is that a clap?
Okay, y'all bear with me because it's 7 o'clock here, or 8. Oh Lord, it's 8 o'clock here.
I'm sorry, I'm challenged, but so you have to excuse me. I'm 75 and sometimes this new technology get to me even though I'm still practicing.
You are welcome. Come on. You have a comment or question?
Yes, I was just I know this program. I'm a midwife. I started out as a traditional midwife in the 60s and 70s when the women's health movement was starting and all this other stuff, but in the amongst Black women. That's when I was younger and all that stuff. And I hear you talk about community, which is really, really, truly important. But I find that we end up talking just to each other. And so I think that we have to do more grassroots work, go to places where and develop relationships. That's kind of how you do it. I don't know if like Amilcar Cabral went into the book, did his work as an agronomist for 2 to 3 years before he even started introducing concepts in terms of liberation. And we tend to talk amongst ourselves instead of talking to many people and using the resources, especially of other African descendants that come from the Americas whose life experience is different, where you had people just growing up seeing breastfeeding, pulling your breasts out in public and all these different things. It wasn't anything. And so while we convince ourselves, we also have to do real type of grassroots works in the larger community and use Black migrant communities that have a longer history of breastfeeding, despite also being captured Africans, that it was part of their life growing up. It was just a natural thing to do. And so we have to do both of those things and do it very proactively. I'm presently working here in St. Croix,
and it is a U.S. colony. But nonetheless, breastfeeding is part of it because you have so many people from the Caribbean coming here simply so they can, their babies are born here, they get an American. So they come from St. Kitts, Nevis, they come from St. Lucia, they come from Antigua, they come from just to have their babies here. And I find that it's easier for them because, and even here that it's a U.S. colony because, you know, pulling out your breast and nursing, while you may later on introduce formula, breastfeeding or nursing as we call it, as that we called it in Panama, we don't call it breastfeeding, it's nursing, it's nurturing. It was still part of the culture. We have to find a way to make it become part of our culture. Not everyone can afford a doula, not everyone can do this, but we have to find ways to normalize it within our communities. So I'm not sure how one does that, especially in the US, because like anything else, everything becomes a specialty and you have to pay for this and pay for that. It's not organic within the community.
Yes, we have to build that back up, and it's going to take time. And we know that some of the information in the community is not correct. And so we need to work to educate the community, as you mentioned, Mama Makeda Kamara, that we need to educate beyond the mother, the father, the birthing family, and get into the community. And somebody mentioned in the chat about the need to go there and not
you have to
expect
work in the
to us.
government. You know, it has to become, you know, we have to, like in Norway, you get 18 months maternity leave because they deal with the economy of it. And if we do that, we can introduce that. Yeah. So
Don't get
there are
me
other
started
countries.
about America.
Yeah. So
I had
we
my
have to, but
babies
there are
in
models
Kenya.
in, what I'm trying to say is that there are models in other Western economies that have realized it. You read Milk, Money, and Madness, it came out in 1970. So, you know, so in 1963, when the 73, when the prime minister of Norway was pregnant or something like that, they asking in their Congress, how is she going to fulfill her breastfeeding duties? But it takes grassroots work so that we can make political changes to make it happen.
Thank you. I'm being pressed for time, but I want to go to Tiffany and then Sherry. And if we can be really brief in our comments and thoughts so we can continue with the program. Thank you.
Good afternoon, guys. Blessing from Texas here in Dallas, Texas. And I wanted to piggyback a lot off of what you just said and spoke to. I'm also a lactation consultant, but I think from a different perspective, it can seem like, you know, very fear-mongering sometimes, and it doesn't have to be that way. And so I think like in society right now, especially in the US, we face a lot of barriers. We talk about a lot of that, but we don't always bring attention to what some of the solutions are. And I think it is, like you mentioned, it's getting back to our roots, and it's changing the mindset. Like now I used to spend half of my time talking to the moms about the anatomy and how to latch and what positions to put them in. But now it's like 50% of my class or 75% of my classes is about the mindset and about how your mind has to change, and understanding that you may have an engineering degree and background and think that like everything is very robotic and in a controlled environment, and the mind has to change because this is a human. It is a mammal. It is a baby that needs you, and changing their minds and helping them understand the biological norms of what a newborn and an infant and a child, matter of fact, needs, and that this is their world. We just live in it. And so we've got to get out of that systemic approach, and we've got to change our mindsets and thinking that like, you know, it's this glorification, especially I think in the US, that we have of like what a baby looks like and what the expectations of breastfeeding may look like. When really, if we change our minds and embrace that period of rest, right? And that period of allowing others to come in and help us, and that period of I'm calling on my doula, or I'm calling on, you know, some other community support to really support me during this hard time, then I think that we can really change our mind, and we'll see that the more we normalize it and the more we are pulling our breasts out. I was very open with public breastfeeding. The more we do that, the more we can make an impact. And I know we're
Thank
limited on time, but I just wanted to
you.
offer that.
I really appreciate those thoughts. And Sherry, if you can, in just a few seconds, state your thoughts.
In a few seconds, okay, I'll see what I can do. Thank you so much.
A few minutes. You get
I
it.
have two questions. One for Ibrahim. Thank you for being present, brother. I appreciate your contribution to this conversation. My question for you is, how did your family's breastfeeding journey, the initial breastfeeding journey, affect your relationship, the relationship between you and your wife? And then my second question to the IBCLCs on the panel, is harvesting colostrum during pregnancy standard in terms of preparing the body for breastfeeding? Those are my questions. Thank you so much. Hey, Tiffany.
Thank you, Sherry. How did it affect my relationship? The best way I can look at it right now in hindsight is say I had to do some real maturing, and really some deep thinking about what the nature of my relationship with my wife and my family is and what I want it to look like. And what, you know, what not necessarily what's wrong, but it's okay to kind of have a relationship shift. That shift is, I felt like it was akin to when the old heads used to tell me, you'll understand when you get married. And I was like, no one, it never really made sense to me until I was in that position, and all these things and dynamics start to change. The conversations around, we can get into all of this later, but what products and things do you want even in your child's body? Beyond just the formula is, vaccinations. That's a whole nother conversation that my wife and I were starting to start to get into around formulas, vaccinations, certain types of products that we use in the home, understanding that these children are vessels and things that they consume and things that are around them, they're very, very sensitive to. And we really start to have, at times, some uncomfortable conversations, and at times some really revealing conversations around the way that we thought about different things and how different we were about things, and really how our upbringings were. My parents are I'm first generation American. My parents are from the West Indies, and she's from America. So we have two different cultures with two different levels of expectations and things, the way things look at it. And we really had to look at this. I had to look at it and say, is this what you want, or is this what has been passed on to you? And how do you make some reservations and I would say some compromises around, or some consensus around what these new decisions will be, so that you can really create the environment and the space for both of us to grow in, so that our children can be healthy and not be taking some of that in, because that trauma is really just tapped in through that body and passed through that child through the breastfeeding.
Thank
I
you.
wish I could answer about the colostrum, but I don't think I'm equipped for that answer.
There's some answers in
Aria, were you
the
about to say
chat,
something?
Sherry,
Oh,
about the colostrum harvesting. We're answering in
yes.
the chat, if that's helpful.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
The only thing I can say
Thank
about that is I can speak about the hospital where I work. And they do not allow high-risk patients to express colostrum, mainly because the stimulation of the nipples would cause you to, it can cause you to go into preterm labor. And so we don't recommend it if you are high risk. If you're not high risk and everything is going well with your pregnancy, then we do allow patients to do that. But if not, we don't, because, as IBCLCs, our role is, we still have to work within that team. And if the OB says, hey, I don't think it's a good idea, then we have to know, our role in that setting.
Thank you.
Great. So I would like to give each of you a chance to, let's close out with your, what's it, like an elevator speech, if you can give it in a minute or less. What do you think from the perspective of the elders, now that you are the experienced, knowledgeable ones? We want to look forward, as Tiffany challenged us, that we look at all the problems, but now look at some solutions. How can we best prepare the next generation of birth and postpartum care workers to press forward and advocate for breast and chest feeding and infant feeding according to the decisions of the parents and be more supportive of them? How do we elevate this? Because we know our numbers are not looking good and we can do better. So shall I start with Wanja?
Yes, for me, this is a generational and ancestral contract. To be able to feed and nourish my child is something that is very dear and near to my heart. My mother was a farmer. I was breastfed. And for women that choose not to breastfeed, that's also their choice. I do encourage that for women to look for resources for food. There's like food pantries, there's food education. There's so much that's being offered. I mean, at least here in New York City, there's so many things that I've learned throughout my journey. You know, I used the WIC program because I didn't have enough money to be able to feed myself through pregnancy. I also got a chance to volunteer in some of the local gardens that are always looking for volunteers to grow local foods, which, you know, these things, you know, will feed the future. The more that we can support and encourage local farming, to me, those are the contracts that we have with our ancestors, and these are the contracts we're making with our generation.
Thank you. And LaShonda.
To nourish the future of birth workers or lactation support, I think everyone has a place in supporting like lactating people. Parenting in itself is hard, right? So we should be supporting parents in general, but especially birthing people, and especially when they're choosing to lactate and go on that journey. And I think as somebody, whoever is listening, like just find what feels comfortable for you. I know myself, I got so into it. I wanted to do all the things. And then I got burnt out and I had to just pull back and say, like, where am I most valuable? And so doing Chocolate Milk Cafe, that's a volunteer support group, right? And facilitating those and having peer support feels really good to me. And I feel like, you know, nourished by those groups and I help nourish them. And also I help other Black individuals or people of color get their hours to become IBCLC if they want to be on that route. So those two spaces feel comfortable for me right now in teaching. I don't do one-to-one so much anymore because I was getting burnt out, but I feel like wherever you feel comfortable, do that. You know, there's some people who are doing legislation and like trying to get us, you know, license and stuff. And that's not my thing. Like, I don't want to be getting up and going to Albany and stuff. But if that's your thing, I'm going to support you. But right here is where I feel comfortable. So if you are a parent and again, like we've been talking about, just building community and going out and talking to your friends and, you know, the local person that you see pregnant, maybe having a issue or not, or just wants to talk about feeding their baby, like do that and feel comfortable there. And in the beginning, when Shani was talking about the 12 women in 1994 and what they did and what I would say to them, what I was thinking of is I would want to thank them for being brave, because I think when you're brave, you allow other people to be brave. So when you are in your comfortable space doing what you love, other people see that, and it gives them the freedom to do that too. So I think we don't all have to do all the things, but just, you know, stay in your lane and be comfortable there and know that when people see you, you are nourishing them and helping grow like the community in your own little way.
Thank you. Ibrahim, same question from the perspective of the elders. Looking forward, how do we
I think
support?
we first got to start with water. I think we must have clean water. We must eat live food. We must have clean air. We must spend time in green spaces. We must occupy universal spaces. And through this, I believe that we can create groups of solidarity that encourage a healthy adaptation and growing of children and families.
Thank you. And Ario.
So I love to say, you don't know what you don't know till you know it. And so I, I kind of want to piggyback off of Shonda to say, somebody said it best, give yourself some grace, be forgiving, and always just take that time out to introspect and say, what are my goals? Where do I see myself in the next week, month, year? What are my goals and expectations? And a lot of times, we say, oh, I have this birth plan. Sorry. People say, I have a birth plan, but I say, you know what? Make it a birth goal, because plans seem very rigid. And so sometimes you have to deviate and you have to, be flexible in what your expectations are. And so even with your breastfeeding journey, you have to be able to be flexible in what your expectations are, because your body may not always cooperate with your mind. Sometimes you have a picture in your mind of what this journey would be like or what you expect. And then when you have the baby and you're like, this is not what I expected. This is not what I prepared for. And so we have to be able to pivot and be able to say to ourselves, self, I know this is not what we planned for, but this is the hand that we've been dealt, and work along with ourselves. So, you have to be able to give yourself that grace. You have to be able to step back and say, I know this isn't what I planned, but this is where we are. So we have to meet people where they are and take it from there. We can't want to fit them into a mold of what we expect, but we have to be willing to work with them to get them to where they want to be, to the goal they expect to get to.
Excellent. Ashe. And the baby of Mwanja came and she put the exclamation point. She said, I'm going to breastfeed in front of everybody. Thank you, baby, for showing us this is what we're here for. This is what we're talking about. And she has put a period on this session. Thank you so much. You couldn't have done it better. So I want to hand back to the organizers. I think it's time for a break.
Yes, definitely.
And to thank the panelists so much, and the community with your comments and questions, and the chat was so active. Thank you so much.
Mhm. Yeah, very, very much an active community, and that's what we need and we want. Encouraging everyone who is in the space now to stay until completion, because we have a special offering for you in the form of artistic expression. If you haven't figured out that Speak Move Change is about art and ritual, conversation, manifestation, like all the things in community above all, then I'm telling you, that's what we are about. And we want to make sure that we complete this beginning, middle, end. So we're going to take a break for 5 minutes, stretch, get some water, and we will be returning. And we look forward to being back with you. Oh, I said 5 minutes. This is 9:25, so 9:27. And we'll see you on the way back, and then we'll close out with our slides and artistic expression and a couple of requests from the community. Thank you.
cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mothers, sons is as important as the killing of white men, white mothers, sons. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Not needing to clutch for power, not needing the light just to shine on me. I need to be just one in the number as we stand against tyranny. To me, young people come first. They come first. They have the courage where we fail. If I can just shine a light on as they carry us through the gale. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. I'm a woman who speaks in a voice, and I must be heard. At times I can be.
Welcome back, everyone. For those of you who were able to stay, thank you for continuing to be in the space. There are a few things that we want to share with you. So we have an artistic expression that we experienced last year, and it was so deeply moving that we wanted to offer it again this year. And so our beloved sister Taja Lindley, allow for us to utilize the piece, even though she could not be here to do it in person. And she has, she's just an innovator. Like what she offers, how she brings it, putting her whole heart into it. This piece, she was able to mine from the experience of talking to her sister about her breastfeeding journey, and utilizing those stories and that experience and her sister's vibration and their relationship as the catalyst for her art. She was able to create this piece. So just inviting you all to sink in. This is not the entire piece. This is a slice of the piece, and it's so powerful and potent. So brothers and sisters, family, everyone, Taja Lindley. So please keep adding your shares in the chat. There's a woman in this space, or women in this space, birthing people in this space, outside of this space, people who are connected to us, people who are next door neighbors, people who work with us in the cubicle. Like, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And we are all here so that we can stop the action, stop the abuse, stop the oppression, stop the patriarchy, stop the misogyny, stop the misogynoir, stop the expectations, stop the eyes that are staring, stop the the emails and the text messaging and the WhatsApping and the DMs and all the stuff that keeps us from being able to focus on ourselves and really do what our bodies are built to do, which is to generate, to feed our children, to be well nourished. And while you may be breastfeeding, are you well nourished? Are you rested? Are you comfortable? Are you experiencing pleasure? Are you experiencing deep belly laughs? Are you able to deeply connect? Mama Altrina put into the chat, we forgot to put in make love to our partner in the space. And sometimes that's an expectation, and you're being judged because you don't do it, or you're in there pretending like you want to do it. You're faking orgasms, you're doing all the things, right? So you can just survive. So put it in the chat. It doesn't stop until we take the action to stop it. Thank you, family. So I'm going to ask Coach Denise if you are ready so we can take this pledge. And it does say Black mamas, but it includes all mamas and birthing people in the pledge. So whatever you need to put in that space when we declare Black mamas, do that for yourselves. Don't get caught up and say this doesn't include you, because that is not true. Denise, you ready?
I am ready. And as Coach Shawnee just says, it doesn't stop. And why we do this not just to have life's program. We do this so that we can take action and be proactive. And so I'm going to read this reproductive justice pledge. And we are doing this so that we know who's in the room. We know the roles that you play. We know that what we're doing and bringing to you every night, whether it is successful or not, what is missing, who is missing in this space. So as I read, if you agree, please put it in the chat. You can affirm. And if you choose not to agree, that is your right to do that as well. The Reproductive Justice Pledge. We pledge to listen to Black women and support reproductive justice. Reproductive justice is the human right to control our bodies, our sexuality, our gender, our work, and our reproduction. That right can only be achieved when all women and girls have the complete economic, social, and political power and resources to make healthy decisions about our bodies, our families, and our communities in all areas of our lives. Right now, we are faced with an attack on our human rights as global citizens by conservative activist U.S. Supreme Court. Our freedom depends on dismantled systemic racism, misogyny, and Blackness and white supremacy. Historically, we have won battles for our human and civil rights when we listen to and trust Black women. Continue to put in the chat. 71% of Black women support abortion services. 85% believe whether she has private or governmental funding health coverage. Every woman should have health coverage for the full range. Let me repeat, for the full range of pregnancy-related care, including abortion. 91% believe a woman's ability to control whether or when she has children is an important part of financial stability for herself and her family. Therefore, we, the undersigned, pledge to do everything in our power to ensure all Black women and birthing people have the freedom, resources, and power they need to assert agency over their bodies and to ensure that their families can thrive, not live, but thrive. And I am complete. Continue to agree or affirm. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. And thank you, family, for your commitment. Asking for a few more minutes so that we can get complete. So if we can carry on with the slides as we drop in our pledges and our agreement. Tomorrow, we will be back in this space again. Our commitment is to keep showing up no matter what, right? No matter what, because we said it doesn't stop. We cannot stop. What does the song say? We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We can sleep, but we will always, always be in motion to make sure that those who live beyond us, our futures, will be able to have these rights be activated. So tomorrow, in honor of the 30th anniversary of reproductive justice and that framework that was manifested by the 12, and that was also being energized and ignited by all of those who came before the 12. We are going to be amplifying the theme, our bodies, our rights, our time, the power of reproductive justice in the fourth trimester. And it's day 4. We will be here, same link that you'll utilize again if you're not clear or if you're a day ahead, because we have some folks that were ahead of us as far as the days or behind us. It's May 8th, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make the adjustment based on the time zone that you are in. And I love this image. We will not be silenced. We will not be silenced. We will speak it. We will write it. We will declare it. We will do it in our sleep. We'll speak in our sleep. So thank you for your commitment already and for the continued commitment in the days to come. We have, it's been day 3 or more delicious days to go. Forward.
Coach
Oh, yes.
Shani, I
Yes,
forgot
ma'am.
to say we need people. We do have a quick survey
Yes.
for individuals to complete.
Okay, awesome. So if we could drop the survey into the chat, thank you, Coach Denise, so that we can have folks fill it out. And this is for this particular day and this particular experience. If you filled out the surveys the other days, just asking you to do it again. There are 8 questions. It's quick. We ask for you to be as authentic and straightforward as far as your feedback. We consider feedback to be a form of nourishment in this space. So I know we have the sign up here, the QR code and the information about info sessions, so you can join the collective. But we'll drop in the link and we can take this down for a moment, play a little bit of music while we fill out this survey for day number 3. You can take the screen share down. All right, awesome. So music, do we have the link to drop in the chat? Admin.
Express yourself. You don't never need help from nobody else. All you got to do now, express yourself. Whatever you do, do it good. Whatever you do, Lord, Lord. Do it good. All right. It's not what you look like when you're doing what you're doing. It's what you're doing when you're doing what you look like you're doing. Express yourself. Express yourself. They're doing it on the moon, y'all. In the jungle too. Everybody on the floor now. Jumping like a kangaroo. So let the horn do the thing do, y'all. Some people have everything and other people don't. But everything don't mean a thing if it ain't the thing you want. Express yourself. Express yourself. Oh, do it. Oh, do it. Do it to it. Go on and do it. Y'all do it. Get it. Express yourself. Express yourself.
All right, love how we jam in this space. So the last few slides, and then we're going to take it on home. So admin, you ready? Thank you, Sam. So once again, the Speak, Move, Change Collective that was started in 2021 were the catalyst for the creation of the National Postpartum Awareness Week. We have invitations, an open invitation for you to join us so we can continue to do the sacred work that we do every year for Black Maternal Health Week. And then, of course, during this sacred time for the 7 days of the Postpartum Awareness Week for BIPOC birthing people. So we invite you to join us. We have an info session in May, an info session in June, and then we have an info session in August, and we will update you with the session that we are leading in July. Use the QR code to join us. There's also a link to register in the chat, and it'll be dropped in again. Register and explore what this is and how you can be involved, whether it's on one of the teams or part of a special project. We honor your time, your availability, and we honor your partnership above all. So thank you. If you've been touched, moved, and inspired in this space, we ask that you join us. We also invite you to participate with the use of an app called Believe Her. We believe in technology as a catalyst for growth and development. And of course, you get to choose how you manage it. Some folks are not as aligned with it. It serves its purpose. If it wasn't for technology, we wouldn't be in here with you right now doing this with folks across the country and abroad. This app allows you to be in rooms with people with lived experience that align with you. You can be in the general chat, you can get information, you can be in a group that's just for folks who have a similar experience. All of it has been designed to serve her, believe her, and support her. So please do utilize the app so that we can keep growing together. And we have virtual support groups. There are other groups. There are magnificent things being offered by community members that are here. Please drop those things in the chat. In this particular instance, the ARIA Foundation offers 2 support groups. One is the Luxor Collective for men who've been impacted by the reproductive trauma, loss, grief, whether it's fertility issues, pregnancy loss, preterm labor, issues around postpartum depression or perinatal anxiety and mood disorder, stillbirth, maternal morbidity or mortality. If you've been affected by it, and you identify as a man, you can join the group and get support, and you'll get referrals and just information and education so that you can be a contribution to the community that you're in and your family. So there's a QR code at the top of the flyer on the left. And then on the right is the Remembering You, Remembering Us support group. It's a group that I've been leading for 8 years. And same thing, if you've been directly or indirectly impacted by the things that I named earlier, you can join the group. Both groups are virtual on Zoom, and you can register, and we welcome one and all to participate. And my group is for men. However you identify, you're welcome to come. Sponsors. We want to acknowledge the sponsors, the co-creators of this sacred space, dollars and cents that which are energy, and we believe that money means my own natural energy yield in this space. So thank you for the energy of money, of support, of endorsement for this sacred work. And here are our sponsors, and there's so many more organizations, individuals who support us, and individual givers. So we salute you, we thank you, and we honor you for your generosity. Almost home, family. We invite you to donate to the Speak, Move, Change Collective. All dollars are used to amplify this movement, to take care of folks who are facilitators, panelists, performers, to take care of having our Zoom account be running, and the automated texting account, and the constant contact email blast account. Like all of the resources that we utilize here will be towards keeping the infrastructure alive and making sure that we deliver this powerful service and support to community. Please follow us at speak.move.change on IG. Follow us at Speak Move Change on Facebook, and then also subscribe to our Speak Move Change YouTube page so that we can keep you abreast. You can access the recordings of the sessions that we've done in previous years, and then of course what we're doing this week. And we invite you to check out our website where you can see what's coming up, what this is all about. You can see the images and look at the toolkit that was created for this sacred work. We have a Postpartum Awareness Week toolkit so that each of you can host your own events next year, just like we do for Black Maternal Health Week and the other awareness days and weeks and months that we follow. And then we want to hear from you. So once again, if you didn't fill out the survey, here's a QR code on the right that you can use to do that. And utilize our hashtags so folks can find this information, find us, and find you inside of this sacred work. So anything after this, family? I think we're complete. All right, awesome. So what I want to do is just acknowledge teams, the collective that has put this together, and then we're going to play some music, and you can gently leave the space if you so choose. So the teams, if we can take me off spotlight and we can go into gallery so we can acknowledge folks. If you are in any of the teams that are part of the Postpartum Awareness Week, if you are on the social media marketing and promotion team, raise your hand. If you are on the content team, raise your hand, your digital hand. If you are on the research team, raise your hand. If you're on the admin team, raise your hand. If you're on the fundraising team, raise your hand. Did I miss anybody? I pray that I didn't. The special projects team, raise your hand. And my hand is up, my fleshly hand. I'm on all the teams. If you're part of this collective in any way, raise your hand. We thank you for your contribution, for the work that you put in, for meeting on a weekly basis, for meeting with your separate teams, for pouring in your ideas, for sharing your lived experiences, for being open to learn about anti-racism, to decolonize, to de-silo the work, to be contribution to community, to transform the state of affairs for BIPOC maternal health across the nation and the world. Thank you. This is a thankless job. It's not even a job, it's a thankless contribution, but we know, I hope you know that we love you and we appreciate you and could not do it without you. So let's carry on. There's more week left, and we hope that you will join us. And we know that our team will be here to support the execution of this sacred space. So without further ado, we're going to play our last two songs, and then y'all can float on out. You can stay or leave. It's up to you. But that's the way we leave the space, gently, because we do a lot with force, right? Patriarchy says it goes like this, but we go like this in this space, gently. All right, Chantel or Sam or whomever has the music, if you can play it. And then folks, if you're leaving, good night. Thank you. Bless you. And we'll see you again sometime this week. Should Chantel you the DJ or someone else?
This is for the believers. Hey. Keep on fighting for love. Shine a light for your love. This is for the believers. Keep on fighting for love. Shine a light for your love. This is for the believers. Keep on fighting for love. Shine a light for your love.
The all-new GoDaddy Arrow helps you get your business
Oh, Daddy.
online in minutes.
Is this Chantel?
Sorry.
Chantel, what? The DJ?
I told you to take them club keys away from her.
Oh, Daddy was a shout out for Ibrahim. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna keep rocking my head till we get back to the music.
When I move my body just like this, I don't know why, but I feel like freedom. I hear a song that takes me back, and I let go with so much freedom. I'm gonna get, 'cause it's my freedom. I love how you talk, you speak in my language, the way that you walk, you can't contain it. Is it the shoes, jumping kangaroo? We're overdue for a little more present. Now it's your time, you can shine. If you do, I'ma do too. When I move my body just like this, I don't know why, but I feel like freedom. I hear a song that takes me back, and I let go with so much freedom. I'm gonna get, 'cause it's my freedom. Down and to get back up. If someone's around, let him look. You can't stand still. This ain't no drill. More than cheap thrill. Now it's your time. You can shine. If you do, I'ma do too. 'Cause when I look up to the stars, I know exactly who we are. 'Cause then I see you shine, you shining, you shining. Everybody come on, everybody come on now. Everybody. I'm stuck to the dance floor with the whole team. With the whole team. I'm stuck to the dance floor with the whole team. With the whole team. Let me see you shake. Your ass for giving you the whole shit. I'ma give you the whole shit. Let me see you wobble. I'm stuck to the dance floor with the whole team. With the whole team. I say yeah. Oh yeah. Let me see you wobble. You do, I'ma do too. Come on now. Everybody. I'm stuck to the dance floor with the whole team. With the whole team. Let me see you wobble. I'm stuck to the dance floor with the whole team. With the whole team. Let me see you shake. Your ass for giving you the whole shit. I'ma give you the whole shit. Let me see you wobble. I'm stuck to the dance floor with the whole team. With the whole team. I say yeah. Oh yeah. Let me see you wobble. You do, I'ma do too. When I move my body just like this, I don't know why, but I feel like freedom. I hear a song that takes me back, and I let go with so much freedom. I'm gonna get, 'cause it's my freedom.
Peace and blessing. Love your family. Mwah.
Good night, everyone.
Great night.
Bye.
Good night.
Night, night.
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 Buenas noches.
Love